Giving all praise to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahshai, Bashem, Rakakudah, Shalom to the 144,000 and rest of the elect out there. Shalom to you all. This title made me stop and check out this video. It's live. Let me see. I don't know if it's premiere or live. Okay, it's live. And the title of the video, as you can see, is IUIC Bishop Nathanyel Habakkuk 2 verse 6, which I'm already familiar with. That Dick Clay break down the importance of knowing the Hebrew. So I'm already know if he doesn't go into the Hebrew, he's going to break it down wrong. Now the 7, the original way that it was broken down was clay. Well, clay is red. Well, clay is gray too. You got red clay, and gray clay. I don't know if you have any other colors, but I know clay is gray, and as also it's red. Oh, that means that proves he's an Edomite, and I'm pretty sure he's going to break it down that way because he's going to regurgitate what he learned from the 7, the original. We looked, going into the Hebrew, we found out that the word thick clay is the Hebrew word ibatyat, which means depth or pledge. When you take out a loan and use your house as collateral, you're putting your house up as a pledge. If you don't pay the loan, they get your house. So which is depth. So and when if you take out a loan with a bank, let's say you have $1 million home, you have 100% equity, meaning you own the house, you pay for it. You want $500,000 for the house, for the debt, which is the equity. The pledge would be for half of the house, but they'll take the whole house. So that's what happens when you make a pledge. When you get into debt, you get a credit card. You get into debt, you lose your credit score goes down. You suffer in the long run. Anyway, so that word thick clay has nothing to do with red clay, being that's the color of Esau. It's depth. And the U.S. Now, if you go to the United States, the U.S. debt clock, it should be anywhere around almost 40 trillion, and the clock didn't go back since Trump came in. His first term, and even if his second term, the clock kept going forward fast. It hasn't slowed down. If it's not 40 trillion with a T, it's damn near close. But the actual debt is actually more or less 250 to 300 trillion, which is impossible to pay. You cannot pay that debt. You're underwater. You're at the bottom of the sea, so to speak, of debt. There's no way. I did some research and quick research, and I said the current, based upon the 40 trillion, 39, 38 trillion, how much does the U.S. owe in taxes per year? And they said it was 900 plus billion, which is a trillion. So you give 900 trillion a year. The debt is not going to be paid off. You got to. Trump is talking about, we're going to make money off of oil. We're going to do this. We'll do the tariff. We made 18 trillions. Well, wait a minute. If you take the 18 trillion, put it to the debt, and you're down to the national debt as it stands, 40. You cut the debt in half. Things will everybody start doing well, because you don't have to pay that much on the principal, the interest. If you get what I'm saying, I'm talking a little financial talk here. Now the scriptures, mostly all of these guys say that they're Christians, right? They read the Bible. Well, there's a law in the Old Testament where it goes into it's called the year of release, which is once every 7 years. Whatever debt you owe somebody, if you don't pay it, if you don't pay them in 7 years, the debt is clean. You got a clean slate. and that's called a reset. So the year of release is known as a reset. You start from the beginning. They couldn't pay their debt. Okay, boom. When you have a credit card, you got a bad credit. I believe it's supposed to be 7 years, but at 10 years, you get a clean slate. I had amassed tickets on my car, which is a lot of money, in the thousands. Some beautiful Ephraimite chick that worked at the place, she said, "Look, don't worry about it. Just sit on it. It'll go away in 8.25 years." I did the research. I found it was true. I sat on it, and it disappeared. Boom, it disappeared. But it disappeared by years. You know, if you had 50 tickets, 5 of them might disappear. The next year, another 5, until it went to 0. Now, they're not going to tell you that, but this sweet Ephraimite chick, you know, she pulled me to the side and told me, you know. Maybe she was digging on me. This was years ago. I was in my 30s. He pulled me to the side. She said, "Look, you know, I wouldn't pay that shit. You know, just let it, you know." Anyway. Let me not go on to them. I'm saying, I'm giving you how debt works. If you have 7 sevens of a year of releases, that adds up to 49. The 49th and the 50th, the 49th going into the 50th year is called a jubilee. So every 7 years, you gotta reset. Then you got a major reset on the 49th year going to the 50th year. Just look up year of release and look up, as a matter of fact, let me do this. Let me do it this way. Because y'all think I'm making this up. But I'm going to get into this. I know it's going to be a good video just based upon, you know. And he's kind of comical sometimes. He's like me in a way. He's kind of a little comical, which there's nothing wrong with that. You know, he'll tell you a little joke, you know, I'm like that too. That's just my style. I'm not gonna be like somebody else. I'm you know, the way the Spirit gives it to me, that's the way I'm gonna give it to y'all. So if I tell you a little corny joke, you know that's me. Okay, what is the Trump doctrine? Well, with this thing with Venezuela, he's doing it. Oh, Trump and him said, "Oh, that's our oil." How the fuck is this your oil? Give me a second here. So this is AI. Let me do this. Let me go to all. Then I'll get you into the video, because I know I'm a little anxious about the video. Good title, great title. Titles always get me. I look at the title, I say, "Oh, I gotta watch this." Anyway, let's go. What is the year of release in the Bible? What is the year of release in the Bible? Now they're going into Judaism, because they keep that law, right? Year of release in the Bible. Let's look at it this way. Okay, the Shemitah. Oh, let me see. The year of release in the Bible, or Shemitah, refers to a mandatory sabbatical year every 7 years. Leviticus 25, Deuteronomy 15, where debts were canceled, Hebrew slaves were freed. Male Hebrew slaves. Hebrew males that owned other Hebrew males, they were freed. The women weren't not freed. Hebrew women, Israelite women. And the land rested, the land Sabbath. Signifying, that's why the crops don't grow like it's supposed to, because they don't have a land there to a Sabbath. A reset. That's why I said it made the world a wilderness. The world is a wilderness. It's not growing like it's supposed to. The crops and so forth. Signifying a what? A reset for the Israelites and a reminder of the Most High's provision with the Messiah, later proclaiming a spiritual year of favor. In Luke 4, verse 18 and 19, it wasn't a specific historical year, but a reoccurring cycle of release. So with the release, you would not have that, but because you have the super. By the way, who do we owe the debt to? The elites behind the scenes. They have stock in the debt, so they got to get their money back. But a lot of them claim that they're Christians or even Jews. You know? So anyway, then you got the Jubilee, which is, let me do this. Jubilee. The year of Jubilee, meaning the year of Jubilee is a significant biblical observance occurring, and Christians don't understand this. Oh no, the Lord's doing away with occurring. That means you can have sex with your mother and your sister at the same time, you know. You can be a Mo, you know. You can dress up, you know. Occurring every 50 years after 7 sabbatical cycles. So it's 49 going into the 50th year. That's when all bets are off. That's when you get a clean slate. And it mentions again of providing a spiritual and economic reset for the Israelites. What is an economic reset? An economic reset generally refers to a significant overhaul of global economic systems, often proposed as a response to major crises like the Siragamuffin pandemic, aiming for more inclusive, sustainable, and resilient models with the World Economic Forum's Great Reset. So a Great Reset is your year of release and your Jubilee year. All right? So now let me come over here. Okay, where are we? Where is he? The hell? Come on, man. Give me a second here. Okay, here we go. Let me just open it up. Okay, there we go. Let me do this. Let me bring it back some.
The world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Double honors to the apostles, to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you, and shalom to the hopefully elect brothers and sisters of the house of Israel. The Bible says, many are called, few are chosen. The chosen are the elect of the true nation of Israel. All right, the elect. Now, I actually saw this last night when I went to bed. I was watching some of this in my bed last night, right? The Black Winter is Jacob's trouble. So I was watching a bit of it last night, and probably about 15 minutes of it. And in that 15 minutes, it was a particular part that stood out, right? Now, as you can see from the title, IUIC, Bishop Nathanyel's Habakkuk 2 and 6, Thick Clay Breakdown. The importance of knowing the Hebrew, right? That's the key. The importance.
Yeah, because they get on us about the Hebrew. They say, you guys can't make a doctrine from the Hebrew and the Greek. No, when do we ever make a doctrine of the Hebrew and the Greek? The Hebrew and the Greek is part of the doctrine. To understand the doctrine, you have to go into the Hebrew and the Greek. Anytime you buy a book written about the scriptures, and it's a scholar, educated person, he's gonna write down, well, this means X, Y, Z. This is the Hebrew word meaning that. Jeremiah, you would have to, in order to know what does the name Jeremiah mean, you would have to go back to the Hebrew. So when you say you just read the scriptures as they are in the English, you miss out. This is why you can't get the mark of the beast, which I think you guys sold out for it. You got paid for deceiving the people. Because here it is 2026 and you still teaching that the mark of the beast is sin in all of its forms. And you're not a stupid person. You're a smart, intelligent person. So my only other reason why you're teaching that is because you sold out.
Of knowing the Hebrew. Now, when I went to bed last night, I said, I'm gonna let this. I said, should I let this slide? And then I woke up this morning I saw videos in my subscription. One from the Elder Apostle Orion Lab, which was called. He had a video called "And to Him That Lathers Himself with Thick Clay." And then the other video I saw pop up in my subscription, in my notification, was Elder Apostle Tahar's video, where he says, is this thing mentioned in the scriptures? And both videos were talking about Habakkuk 2 and 6. So when I saw that, I said, there's no way I can let this slide, all right? Because I was thinking, should I let it slide or should I do it later? But no, I can't let it slide.
And by the way, we taught that after the split, we taught that abatyat is a word. This is long before YouTube. So when we got on YouTube, long before we had the blue letter, we knew that the word thick clay, the word there is abatyat. Okay, and why I taught the brothers the men in Connecticut, which are now the apostles, elders, and bishops, I said that 7 went off on this. So the word, then I gave him the word. The Hebrew word is abatyat, which means pledge or debt.
Like when I saw that, I thought that's the Spirit of the Lord showing me you have to do this video now, get it out there, let the people understand that the bishop, once again.
And he's just like me. Me and him is similar because I'll say I'll do 4 videos, right? Spirit's on me. Then I say I ain't going to do no more videos. I might come across a video, come across a video that he put up, or any apostle, any bishop, any elder, and I'll do a lamb back on it. Sometimes I'll just let it play and then I'll speak over it, And so that's the Spirit. So he said he wanted to go to sleep. He was getting tired. He wanted to go to sleep, but the Spirit said, nope, I want one more video out of you. So that's the Spirit. So what do you say about a guy that you got to damn near knock him, punch him in the head? You want me to punch you in the head? Inside joke. He ain't did a video in 3 weeks, and he got 1,000,001 excuses. Only got 3 chicks,
Again, it's completely going off on breaking down the scriptures, all right? Completely going off. So, without further ado, let me get my mug off of the screen, sorry, and let's get this up on full screen here. Listen to what Bishop Nathanyel says here when he's breaking down Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. Now, we're going to particularly hone on a couple of words in this.
And I already know, because I already spoke on this, and previously did this, I don't know, a couple of years ago. You know what this guy's good at? He's great at? Is Nate great at anything? Yeah, he's great at regurgitating. He's a great regurgitator. I mean, he can't do some other precepts. He's good at what he does, but you be making him left turns, bro. That's not a good thing.
Verse, thick clay, thick Thick, clay, CLAY. All right. So listen up.
Go ahead.
How long? And to him that laid it.
When it says how long, meaning how long will this keep going on? Go ahead.
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Did you hear that?
What? What the hell did you? That's not the 7 don't break it. He's the wingmaster. He's the wingmaster. He should put a chef hat on, open up a restaurant, and cook wings. You got 31 flavors of wings. Any type of, you got chocolate ice cream flavored wings. He's the wing master. He just made that. He just pulled that out of his arse. That doesn't mean that, man. That does not mean that. And then none of these guys wake up. Well, I was going through the Hebrew, and the word means This guy's out of his fucking. This dude is bunkers, man.
He said the thick clay in Habakkuk 2 and 6 is about all of the nations coming to America. Listen carefully. I'm going to play it again.
I don't want to hear it again. I don't want to hear this, boy. I'm ready to not shit. Anyway, let's do this. Let's go to the chat. Let me see. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's see what the chat says. You should be ashamed of yourself, Bishop Nate. That means all the nations. Oh my goodness, that means all the nations come. Well, a couple of verses above Habakkuk 2 saying that the nation's going to come against you. So, come on, what are you talking about? Okay, let me see here. All right. All righty. Yeah, last night we didn't do a video. We had a big mess. Sakaran had caught a flat. He was going to this place. There's a supermarket, health, not the moms, a supermarket where you can get specialty items. And he got a flat. So they calling me, yeah, we got a flat, this, that, and the third. So I like, no big deal. They found a service station, but the air didn't work. Plus you couldn't pay with cash. You needed a credit card, which they had. But I said, well, I'm gonna come down. I got my jack. I got my stuff. I got my cross iron, and I even got the flat fixed in case there was a hole. I can fix the flat. So So I had a thing where you can air. You plug it in the cigarette lighter, and the air pumps it up. Yeah, Gabal was like, "Well, I gotta get one of them, man. I gotta get one of them." I said, "Yeah, this thing. I got this like 35 years ago. It still works. No name too. Made in China, and the shit still works. I mean, probably 35 years I got it, and no name. Anyway, the shit works like brand new. So they said when they were trying to put that fix a flat in the can, it wasn't really working. So I said, let me put this in. It was moving slow, but then it started going up. Then it started going up. And I felt around, and it was sliced from the inside by the rim. There was like, he must have hit something that sliced it. And I had my gloves on, you put your hand over it and it would stop. Then you take it away, then you hear the hiss. And so we had to find a place to park it. We had to I had a jacked it up. We had to take the tire. We had to go to the Bronx, and we had to get a tire. No, we ate something. We ate, and then we went to the Bronx, and then they had to change the tire. We had to negotiate a price. You wound up getting a brand new tire, and then we had a fucking hard time putting the tire on because my what you call it, a hoist, I'll call it, flat fix, whatever you call it. We held it up and it went down. The hydraulics seeped out of it. So you're trying to get it up, and we couldn't put the tire on. Then he had to use a bullshit jack that came with the car, a little piece of bullshit that you spin it around, and that takes forever. So here we are doing, and we got to put it up a little bit more to get the tire on it. So we were there for about a good hour trying to get that, and it was cold. Here comes the fucking cop, fucking with us, right? Trying to catch me in a lie. I'm smiling at this guy. I said, "How you doing, officer?" He said, "What's going on here?" I said, "I got a flat. Where did you get the flat tire?" "Over here." But how'd you get it? And I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, this guy thinks I said, "Look, you want to see our IDs? You want to check the car? This is our shit, And so he leaves, but then he comes back about, like 10 minutes later. He comes back. He's asking me. He said, "Wait a minute, you said this and that?" And I'm smiling at the dude. I'm like, damn. I said, "You learned all that shit in the academy?" But it was, it was hell. It was fucking hell. Matter of fact, when I finally got home, I got on the computer and I looked at the time, and I'm saying, well, nah, maybe something's wrong. It was like almost 2 o'clock in the morning. I said, God damn, we were fucking running around. We couldn't do no video, nothing like that, you know? So I guess they'll do one today. But anyway, that we just went through hell. And I was laughing about it because we were snapping on the cop. I said, officer, we good. You need some help? I said, no, we good, officer, you know? Yeah, but you said you got the flat tire and the gas. What gas station are you? You know, them in 21 questions type thing. And then they was interrogating me, right? And then I said, you have a nice night. Then he said, can I help you? I said, no, you don't got to help us. We good. You know, you have a good night, right? The guy, so he's snapping on the cop, and either my cop, but he was. I read his spirit. I said, let me. You got to calm the officer down, you know. And so when we finally got it done, we were laughing, and I said, we just went through hell. I said I hadn't gone through hell in a while, so every once in a while we need a little hell in our lives. And I think Apostle Kabar said, yeah, to remind us that we're still in hell. I said, yep, we're still in hell, but I'm going to laugh at it. So I said, shalom. They went, boom, boom. Like I said, when I got home, went on the computer, I looked at the time on the computer. I'm like, maybe because of the change of the year, the time messed up. I got to be like 11 o'clock. It was fucking almost 2 o'clock in the morning. Anyway. So we were like shipwrecked. We were definitely shipwrecked. Give it a second. Okay, so now Habakkuk 2. Let me do this. What does thick clay mean? Let's just see what they say. Okay, they don't know. It says in Habakkuk 2 verse 6, the phrase translates as thick clay can be confusing in English. Thank you, chat. You always come through most of the time. It said thick clay can be confusing in English. Here's what it means step by step. Woe unto him, King James, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. What thick clay actually means is, it's going to make this guy Nate look like an idiot. The Hebrew word, I didn't know they were going to say that. What thick clay actually means. Yakinan, Elder Yakinan is cracking up at this particular point. The Hebrew words behind thick clay are aptit, which is ibatyat, which most scholars understand not as literal clay. Instead, it means heavy debt. Ooh! This hand clap goes to chat for being on point. Let me read that again. What? And I hope Nate watches this. What thick clay actually means. The Hebrew words behind thick clay are abtit, which is ibatyat, which most scholars, not idiots, not laymen like Nate, understand not as literal clay. So they're saying it's not talking about clay. Instead, it means heavy debt, pledged goods. Did not I say heavy debt? Did not I say pledged goods or pledge and debt? Loads taken from others as security. That's what do you call it? A collateral. You put your house up as collateral as a pledge. That's why you get the debt. So what do you got? What securities do you have? Well, I have stock. I have $1 million worth of stock in this particular company. I have I have a summer home and a winter home and a home in Italy, and it all comes up to $3 million. So you might need 300 million. You might need $100 million. Well, guess what? You sign it all over as a pledge. You don't pay it. They get to take. They get to take. If it's what did I say? If it's $1 million, you got $5 million worth of stuff. They can only take $1 million. If you got 5 houses, each $1 million, they can take one of your houses. All right. That's what it means. It means debt. Doesn't mean all the nations coming together and coming up under you. Just made that up. Wingmaster. Loads taken from others as security. Wealth gained by oppression. Which that's going off. So the idea is weight, not mud. Why it's translated this way? Clay in English suggests something heavy and sticky. The images of someone loading themselves down. Right, debt loads you down. People kill themselves over debt. Marriages break up because of debt. Marriage breaks up because of money issues. The image is of someone loading themselves down. Like you got people, you got certain individuals. Like back in the day, you had MJ. He was losing a lot of money gambling until he said, "Don't worry, I'm good for the money." And then they chasing his ass for the money. Hey, the loan sharks, the mobsters, a person can't get a loan from a traditional bank, so they go to the mobsters, and it's a higher interest rate. But then the banks charge you a higher interest rate too, so they fucking mobsters. You don't pay it, they kill you. The more they take unjustly, the heavier the burden becomes. So the burden is debt, is the U.S. national debt. Here it is. ESV loads himself with pledges, which is debt. Loads himself with stolen goods, because you got to pay. You steal something in the law. You take an ox, you got to replace it with the original ox and 4 oxes. So then you're in debt, right? Makes himself wealthy. Ooh, makes himself wealthy with loans. How do you think Nero became wealthy? He took out loans, and he set up businesses. He got loans. Then he went bankrupt, so he wouldn't have to pay it off. So he's not an honest guy. All right? So guess what? The chat got it right. Let me go to the ESV. Yeah, because when you steal goods, you got to pay it back with interest. That's why you steal something, you give the car back, not a scratch on the car. Guess what? You give the car back to the guy, but now you got to go to jail for 10 years or 5 years. Grand theft auto. That's the pledge. You're indebted to this society. So let me come over here. I want to go to the ESV. Give me a second, y'all. Like I said, this guy, and I'm proving it. Okay, what did I put? ESV. I'm sorry. Let me do this. Habakkuk. Two and 6. And the ESV, right? Okay, here we go. Shall not all these take up their taunt against him, these nations? Like what he did with the Venezuelan thing. The nations are saying that was a crime. That was a war crime. And then I believe a bunch of civilians got killed. They're not going to tell you that. With scoffing and riddles for him, and say, woe to him who heaps up what is not his, right? What is not his, meaning he steals it. He said to justify him taking this guy in, a president, oh, he's not the legitimate president. We don't recognize him as the president. And that's our oil anyway. It says, for how long, and loads himself with pledges, which is debt. So had Bishop Nate, the great bishop, did some study or watched our videos or even asked us, we would have gave him the answer. So this is poppycock.
All the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about. 240.
Self with thick clay.
The thick clay. On.
How long? And to him that ladeth
When it
himself.
says how long, meaning how long will this keep going on? Go ahead.
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
And where's Yawasop? Where's Kanai Gabar? Where's Deacon Malachiah, a.k.a. Malachiah? Where you at? This man says something, and they just, shalom, this is a deep brother. He's a deep brother right here. He ain't deep.
Did you hear that? He said the thick clay in Habakkuk 2 and 6 is about all of
ESV, Habakkuk 2 and 6, the word there is pledge. The word pledge means debt.
the nations coming to America. Listen carefully. I'm going to play it again. I'm sorry. He said the thick clay is about all of the nations coming to America. Listen to what he says, right? He's breaking down the book of Habakkuk, the prophet Habakkuk, right? I think it was during the Babylonian captivity he was around, right? 2 and 6, right?
Go ahead.
How long? And to him that laid it.
Like I said, when you steal something and they catch you, you got to give the thing back, pristine condition, but then you got to give, like oxes, I believe it's 4 oxes, I'm not going to go to it. And let's say you don't got it. Guess what? You got to work your ass off just to make sure this guy gets his the original ox back plus 4 extra or 3 extra oxes. That's a lot of money. Oh, another pledge is Deuteronomy 22, when it speaks about the woman, 50 shekels. Guess what that is? That's a debt. You took the man's daughter, which you wasn't supposed to do. But the law is you got to take her, you can't divorce her, and you got to give the father 50 shekels of silver.
When it says how long, meaning how long will this keep going on? Go ahead.
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Oh, let me go to Daniel 2:44 real quick. Let me go to King James. Daniel 2:44. Okay, so let's read this. He mentioned Daniel 2 verse 44, and in the days of these kings, right? What kings? That's all the kings coming together, the nation? Nope. The days of these kings is talking about the NATO, EU alliance with the U.S., Canada, NATO nations, the other NATO nation, the EU nations. That's what that's talking about. And in the days of these kings, the kings of the NATO nations, the kings of the EU nation, the king of the U.S., and the king of Canada, or the presidents, shall the Most High of heaven set up a kingdom. The kingdoms, when we go out there in the highways and the byways, when we do these videos, we're setting up the kingdom. So people are coming in, which shall never be destroyed, meaning our kingdom is going to be everlasting, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, meaning this kingdom are for the Israelites. The other nations are going to be under us. It's going to be set up so you can best understand. It's going to be a feudal kingdom, feudal. You're going to have the lords or kings, which are the highest class. You're going to have vassals, which is the middle class, and you're going to have serf, which is the underclass. Esau is going to be, you're going to have some of these nations that are going to be in the vassal class. They'll be, but we're going to be over them. It says, which shall not be left to other people. What does that mean? Let's talk about this kingdom is for the Israelites. I'm going to go to the chat and ask the chat this question. But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. What kingdoms? These kingdoms that the 10 horns, the seven heads, 10 horns, 10 crowns upon their head. They all got crowns on their head. And the beast, the rest of the beast system, and the woman, all right? And it shall stand forever, right? But it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and that includes the previous kingdoms, the Babylonians, because they're still here, Let me see. So much of stones go. Okay, let's go. Let's do this. Okay. I'm sorry. Let me do this here. I gotta ask him a specific question. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. What does and the kingdom shall not be left to other people mean? Okay, Daniel 2 verse 44 comes from Daniel's interpretation of King Nebuchadnezzar's dream about a statue representing successive world kingdoms. The key phrase, the kingdom shall not be left to other people, has a specific meaning in that context. Give me a second. I gotta fix a flat tire. Okay. A plain meaning, it means that this kingdom will never be taken over, replaced, or inherited by another nation or group, unlike all the kingdoms before it. In the dream, earlier kingdoms rise and fall. They are left to others through conquest, and the final judgment, the final kingdom is different. It is permanent and indestructible. What other people refers to other people, meaning foreign powers or successor kingdoms. Human empires pass control from one group to another. God's kingdom does not change hands. They didn't give me the answer that I want. They kind of are. Let me see. What's the GMS Israelites take They should have said Israel. They said the Lord is coming to set up a new kingdom. Who's going to rule in the kingdom? The Israelites. Okay, GMS interpretation. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people. GMS, Great Millstone Israelites. Core GMS teaching. GMS teaches that this verse means the kingdom of the Most High will be given exclusively to the Israelites, which makes all the sense in the world, whom they identify primarily as so-called black Latinos, Native American people or peoples, and will never again be ruled, shared with, or transferred to non-Israelite nations. So you can go ahead and follow Genesis to your demise, how they understand the phrase other people, non-Israelite nations. According to GMS, other people referred to Gentiles, heathen nations, past empires, Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome, were ruled by non-Israelites. God temporarily allowed Gentiles rule during Israel's punishment. Once the kingdom is restored, rulership will never again pass to the Gentiles. A literal political kingdom on earth. GMS rejects the idea of purely spiritual kingdom. They teach the kingdom will be physical. Like all the other kingdoms before them were physical. This is a spiritual kingdom. And rule from Jerusalem, Yahushua returns as a conquering king. Israelites rule the nations under him. No equality of rulership, a major GMS distinction. They do not believe all nations will rule equally. They teach Israel will be the ruling nation or the ruling class. Other nations will exist but not rule. So not left to other people means no more shared power, democracy, or Gentile domination. End of Gentiles' empire. So it gave me the answer. Summary. According to GMS, Daniel 2:44 teaches the Most High will destroy all Gentile nations. He will establish a permanent Israelite empire. Rulership will never again transfer to other nations. The kingdom is racial, national, political, and eternal. That's all I need. Let's come on back. So let's hear this again. So I didn't just say that, oh, he went off. I'm demonstrating how he went off.
2 and 6, right?
Go ahead.
How long? And to him that ladeth
When it
himself.
says how long, meaning how long will this keep going on? Go ahead.
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about, right? 44, about all clay, right?
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about, right?
So, perfectly clear, he said, right? The thick clay is about the nations that are coming here in Daniel 2 and, I think it said 2 and 40 and 2 and 44, all right? Coming to America, right? This is what he said, all right? I think he said Daniel's 2. He said Daniel's 2 and 40. Let me just see if he said Daniel's 2 and 40.
44.
All right, this is what he said, but listen, just I said, listen carefully to what he says.
I mean, how long will this keep going on, right?
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about, right?
But all the nations coming to America in Daniel's 2 and 40 and Daniel's 2 and 44. He's talking out of he's completely talking out of his rear end, right? For a lack of a better word. And he's completely winging it, right? It's completely going off. Now, this is the importance of knowing the Hebrew, all right? The Hebrew, all right? This is why when the apostles speak about...
And another thing, they say, well, the Hebrew this, and you don't know the real Hebrew. Well, how do you know that the King James translation is correct? Do you know the guys? Can you name one of the 47 translators that was appointed by King James? Can you name me one of them? Can you name me when the year the first King James version was came out, was published? Can you give me the year? Because it's not original. Was not 1611. Wasn't it 1611?
To learn the scriptures in the Hebrew, especially the words and a lot of the key words in the Hebrew.
Same clown that did a almost 2 hour video with Elder Bunyamyan. The Hebrew and the word, and then go to the King and the James there. The name of Yahweh and the son's name is Yahweh Shai. What the hell happened? Either you had demons on you back then, or you got demons on you right now. Well, guess what? You had demons on you back then, and you got more demons on you right now.
Because if you don't go back to the original language, you're going to keep going off like Bishop Nathanyel, all right? Completely gone off. But like I said, there's no one in the IUIC organization that will raise their hand and say, but hold on a minute, that doesn't mean that.
They fancy him as a god. They fancy him as a god.
In the Hebrew, it means something completely different. The reason why they don't know what that word means in the Hebrew is because they refuse to teach their congregation, right, to break down the scriptures and to learn these words in the original Hebrew, right, in the Hebrew language, so you get the meaning of these words. So let me just show you now a video, and this is what I said. I got to do this video because so this morning I woke up to Apostle Orion Lab's video, right, was in my notification. And it just happened to be, that's the spirit of the Most High. That's the spirit of Yahweh Shai. I truly believe this. That's the spirit working through the men of Great Millstone, right? He happened to have a video up called, And to him that lathers himself with thick clay. Now listen and get the true proper understanding of the word thick clay in the original Hebrew, right? That's why you have to learn the Bible in the Hebrew. Listen to the Apostle Orion Lab, right?
It says, and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Now, let's look up the word first, ladeth, right? And then we look up the word thick clay. Because the thick clay there is not what you think it is. Most people think thick clay is just clay that you mold stuff with, make pottery and all that, but that's not the case. And this is why this is one of the main reasons or importance of looking into the original language that the scriptures were written in, because they'll give you a better understanding as to what is being said in that precept. Just like in the book of Job, it speaks about that all the hands of the wicked shall be against him, and you're thinking that's Edomite against Edomite, civil war and all that, and it's not. It's speaking about the laborers. But you
right, that word in Job 20 that he mentioned, the word there is Imal, which means laborers. So right from there, Job 20, you go to James chapter 5. the laborers that work for your field, kept back by fraud, cries to the Most High. That's the law. When you don't pay in the ancient world, when you work, that's why they got a term called day laborers. You work a day, you get paid. Let's say the guy says, I'm going to pay you $100 to work 5 hours on this job. You're a construction guy, or $250. You do the work, he give you $250, you agree to it, you go home. You don't got to go back. He might say, you want to do another day? I'll give you another $2. I'll give you $350. Okay, made an agreement. That's how you got paid. You didn't get paid once every week or once every 2 weeks. Because what they do, they hold on to your money and they invest it. They get interest off it.
Wouldn't know that unless you went into the Hebrew to be able to gather that information or to glean that information out of the original writings.
You hear what he said, right? He said, this is why you have to go into the Hebrew. We've always known it. Our teachers have always taught us this, that to understand the scriptures, we have to go into the Hebrew to understand the original language of these words and what they mean. If you don't, you're going to misquote.
I don't know how many people are following Genesis. Now, for years they've been teaching that Esau is going into captivity. No Edomite's going to make it, only Israel. Daniel 4:22, just a 4. What is that? 2 and 44. I'm sorry, and all these other scriptures. Kiss my boots, and they just did a complete 180. And I don't know how many people follow, but a bunch of people are following. That means there's zombies too. Now Genesis used to call the followers of Nate zombies. But you niggas got zombies under you too. Everybody that's under you, everybody that's under Hakar and Assad, y'all are a bunch of zombies. Because as soon as they switched it up, Edomites can make it, now you see it. So like I said in the past, and I'm continue to say it, that all these different Israelite groups, they're stumbling blocks. The Spirit will lead you to know that you're an Israelite, but you're going to follow a group that's going to lead you to down the wrong path. That's why we say we got 100% truth.
You're going to misbreak down. You're going to sell your congregation a lie because you refuse to go into the Hebrew. And the reason why Bishop Nathanyel breaks down a lot of the scriptures wrong is because he refuses to go into the Hebrew, the original language.
Because he's not the teacher. He's not the teacher. He's not the great. He thinks he's the master teacher, He's the master liar. He's not the teacher. But that purple and that gold and coming on a horse and the pristine place to sit down, and it's wonderful, and they love bomb you. That's another, these motherfuckers that defected from the IUIC, they say what they do is they love bomb you. They love bomb you. Look that word up.
Now, I'm going to let the Apostle Rhyme Lab break it down. I don't need to break it down. I know what it means.
He said Apostle Rhyme Lab. It's a Rhyme Lob, brother. I'm just messing with you. But that we learned that Hebrew, So you got brothers that kind of pronounce it wrong. But I'm messing with him. But I'm dead serious too. Arayim Lab. There's some brothers that are like even Paz Gabar, he'll go Bahasham. It's hard to say it because, we've been speaking English. Bahasham. But that's just me. I'm
going to let the Apostle Rhyme Lab break it down beautifully.
You said it right. You said his name right this time.
If you're right. So listen to what the Apostle Rhyme Lab says here.
So the word there is bad, right? For later, it says to be heavy, be weighty, be grievous. And this ties into the economy because thick clay goes into just that. And these devils understand the concept of debt. It says here, thick clay. And the Hebrew word there is aibat yat, which goes back to the word aibat, to lend, to fetch, borrow, surety, break. And when you go down here, it says weight of pledges, heavy debts. So through America, Babylon the Great, and their monetary system.
That's what it means. It means weight of pledges, heavy debts. The word upteat or some people pronounce it upteat or ibatia, right, means heavy debts. Debts. It doesn't mean people coming to America from all these different nations that make up the different nations of America. That's he completely winged it. He completely was going off. And the reason why he's misrepresenting what the scripture says, Bishop Nathanyel, is because he refuses to go into the Hebrew like what the apostles have always taught the men underneath them and themselves. They were taught that themselves when they came into the truth, the importance of the Hebrew.
And we were taught that by the main Hebrew teacher was Ariah. And Ariah's class, you didn't have a lot of people. You can't. The biggest class was Shia, Friday nights. Everybody came in because he had these little jokes. He played the guitar. But the one of the less filled class was Ariah's. It was Saturday in the morning. People want to sleep late. So I got up. What his class was? I believe it was 10 in the morning, something like that. And it'll be 10, 11, 12. It'll be a 3-hour class. Then the top 7 would meet. Then we teach. And that's when it opened. When I came in, and even General Yohana came in, I came in, Barak came in, Ariala came in, brothers started coming in. That's when it opened up, and the Spirit jumped on me to the concept of opening multiple camps. Because at one time, you might have had 50, 60 guys that were all top level guys that would go to one camp, and they would argue over time. I said, just break the camps up. Anyway, Ariel went into the history, prophecies, and the Hebrew. He really didn't go into the Greek. We adopted the Greek because you got to understand. Well, he did kind of dabble in the Greek, but we really introduced to the world like blue letter. Which the blue letter was we don't need the blue letter. We using the blue letter for y'all to say. See, even Esau says that if Esau says you got small hats, the rabbis that they say that the Romans were Edomites. The descendants of the Edomites are the Romans. All right, the Romans descended from the Edomites. There's certain rabbis, I did a video on it, where the one rabbi said, so-called Jew, he said, America's the new Rome, therefore it's the new Edom. He said, so the people that control the new Rome or America, this is Edom. So we're not the ones, we've been saying that for years. Oh, you guys are crazy. You got small hats saying that they're Edom. And they know about Edom and Esau. When you say Esau and Jacob, they don't know what you're talking about. When you say Jacob and Esau. Oh yeah, Jacob and Esau. And then when you tell them, you're Esau, they want to walk down the street.
So I'm going to let the Apostle Ramla continue, right, for a few minutes here.
Remember, Esau is the enemy of the Israelites. That's why these small hats teach that Esau is the enemy of the Israelites. Netanyahu, he said that the Palestinians were the descendants of the Amalekites. Remember, the Most High told Samuel to tell Paul to utterly destroy the Amalekites, their babies, their kings, everybody. So that he's saying that we got to do it because the Lord told us to do it. First of all, they're not the Amalekites. If anything, they're Ishmaelites or Midianites or mixed people.
Which is the world reserve currency of the dollar, the world since 1945, and even before that, but really 1945, 46, that's when, the world started to really gather and take in these dollar bills and become more and more in debt. And this is why they're pissed off, because they didn't realize that the debt meant that eventually their lands, their resources, and them as a people would have to be taken, as servants, pretty much, slaves, in order to be able to pay off these debts. And the international banking families that established the Federal Reserve System didn't really necessarily care about collecting those debts, because they knew that eventually, even if the people didn't pay it, they would have to, they would eventually collect that debt anyway, because of the system that would be put in place and the means, that you would have to use to be able to, interact with that particular system. See, so they already knew that they were going to get that money back. They already knew that these people were going to be into debt. This is why the WEF, World Economic Forum, who at one time was headed by Klaus Schwab.
Oh yeah, the collateral for the U.S. debt, the pledge are the people. That's why they say on the chart on what is it, 6th Avenue of the Americas, 42nd Street, and I worked down there. I seen every day you had that. That was the first time they put up the debt clock. Back there, it was in the billions, I believe. It wasn't in the trillions, it was in the billions. And it said U.S. debt. He said, this is what you talking about U.S. citizens, this is what you got to pay. So they don't care because you're not, the politicians ain't coming out. They don't have that type of money, but they get it through you. You're the biggest suckers on the planet.
He stepped down. He said you will own nothing and be happy. Why? Because you're going to be nothing but a slave, and you're just going to be given the basic necessities to live, to survive. You know, and this is why these devils here, especially here in America, have made it a point to have the people in America to be so lazy and to get so many benefits from the government, so that they can pretty much have you in a quagmire, you know, in a corner, to where if you want to still get these benefits, you don't want to work, you want to be a lazy fat fuck, then you have to, you know.
Yeah, the weight on the shoulder. The middle class carries the weight. The middle class, the working class. You got people that set up different companies. They got an idea. Then the company becomes a success. They may sell it, and they become multi-millionaires or billionaires. Then they're welcome to that higher class among the elite. That happened with the Rockefellers. They came up, you know, and you know, like, what was the guy? John D. Rockefeller, the old devil, looked like he dead. You know, he died a long time, but he looked like he dead when he was living. He was introduced to the, you know, the left-hand side, let's say. Like these actors and actresses, they're all these top actors and actresses, they're all rappers, singers, and so forth. They all had to take that oath. Boxers. Anybody you see, like the Tysons, the Floyd Mayweather, they all had to take an oath. They all had to worship the Baphomet in order for them to stay. And then they have what's called a blood sacrifice, where they got to kill somebody close to them. It might be their mama, might be their daughter, might be their son, might be their brother, might be their wife. So these jakes, they're just as bad as the devils.
Take this device, the MOTB, which is the micro C here, and then you'll be.
Take this device. The reason why here it is, 2026, year of apostasy, agents, and sellouts. These other Israelite groups that teach counter to what we're teaching, now it doesn't mean that everybody that says it in the group, you just got to get the leader. You get the leader to say, no, that's not what it's talking about. Tahar and them is going off. We strongly believe, but we can't prove it. We don't got no pictures. Oh, see, he's meeting a white man with a suit, and he give him a check. And I looked at the check, and the check had $10 million on it. And look at how these niggas are living. Comfy, right? Tazadakia. He took the bag. And we were the first ones to say it. Nobody else said that. We were the first ones that said this guy took a bag. And he's switching up, he's slowly turning everything over to a Roman Catholic doctrine. That's why we say Genesis took the bag. They took the bag. Now they buddy with the divine prospect. And we ain't seen the divine prospect in 5 years. Now all of a sudden he's buddy with them guys. Divine saying, Obadiah 1:18 is not talking about we're gonna literally destroy them.
Be able to be able to maneuver once again in this new system, because there is going to be a reset, and that reset is going to be digital. And we've been saying this for the longest, and we've been laughed at, mocked at, you know, beginning with Elder Pastor and down, you know, called conspiracy theorists. Conspiracy theorists is normally a nut or some crazy shit like
And yes, we are conspiracy theorists, like smart people. All smart people are conspiracy theorists.
that. You know, now it went from that to these individuals that mock this, you know, speaking about the digital system and the CBDCs and the currencies that are going up, the digital currencies that are going up. And if they offer you a microchip, don't take it, and blah, 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 this, that, the other. And they might throw a microchip in there because these devils now have to double talk. You know, they have to try to clean up their mess. But the receipts are out there. And anyone that believes you, that goes back and sees all of that evidence put together and still can't see that you ain't right, then that means that they ain't right. Anyways, so weight of pledges, heavy debt. So
See, weight of pledges, heavy debt, right? I didn't really want to cut him off there, right? Now, this is a scripture that Nathanyel was reading out. Habakkuk 2:6, all right? When it says, shall not all these take up a parable against him? Who is the him? America, Babylon the Great. And a taunting proverb against him. Him is America, Babylon the Great. And say, woe unto him, woe unto America, right? Babylon the Great, that increases that which is not his, as you see, going into Venezuela is part of that, increasing that which is not his. It's another example of that. How long? How long we have to put up with what America's doing until the Lord, the day of judgment, basically, right? And to him that lathers himself with thick clay, as the apostle Oriam Lab showed you, it means heavy debt. Now, understand this. This is the US debt. This is what America has done. It's laden itself with thick clay, heavy debt. The US government, this is just the government, is $38 and a half trillion in debt. That's just the government, all right? It's a country that's laden itself with thick clay. America's government's debt is, I think, 10 times it's more than its GDP. All right. So it's 124% to its GDP. So it's 24% over what its GDP is, America's debt, because that's what it's done. And most of these countries have done the same thing. But America's debt is the critical one, because America, the US dollar is the world reserve currency. And once that collapses, everything else is going to collapse like a dominoes effect. All right, that's $38 trillion in debt. That's the American government alone. All right.
The real debt is down here. Where is it? It's not too clear. Let me open this up. Okay, let me see if I can go to 70. Okay, this is the real debt. Where is it? All right, mineral reserves. They tell you how much gold they got. This is a hell of a chart right here. Let me see something. Okay, you got right, you got U.S. millionaires, top 1% of wealth. U.S. people that retire, you got to pay them. Social Security, you got to pay them. Medicare, enrollees, this is called future obligation or future debt. So I did the math on that, and you're talking, the true debt has to be anywhere from 200 to 300 trillion. It'll never be paid for. Let me bring this back here. Okay, this is what they throw at you. You got to look at these other numbers too. All these other numbers. On this chart, to tell you how much gold each nation possesses, how much gold each nation possesses, how much silver each nation possesses. And we were the ones that introduced this U.S. debt clock to y'all out there. Not Nate, not Johanna, not none of them.
GDP. So it's 24% over what its GDP is, America's debt, because that's what it's done. And most of these countries have done the same thing. But
you see how them numbers are moving? Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, and trillions. I'm sorry. Let me do this. Let me come on back.
That's the American government alone, all right? Then you've got, what you got here? It's that millions. What's that? 51 billion.
Hundreds, thousands.
So that
millions.
is 3, 6, 9, 12. 3, 6, 9, 12. The US total debt, right? The country, $106 trillion. 106 trillion. That's everything. All right? Some people say it's even more than that. 106 trillion. That's the debt. So
Yeah, it's got to be closer to 300 trillion than even 200 trillion. So this is all a lie anyway. You got to look at each and every one of these numbers, man. Let me see something. Okay, it breaks it down to taxpayers and non-taxpayers. You don't have to pay the most, the ones that do their taxes. They got to pay the most. Right, Social Security, look at that. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, 1 trillion for Social Security. People get old, I can apply for Social Security. I'm not going to apply for no fucking Social Security. Medicaid, Medicare, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, 1 trillion. Defense, hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, 900 billion. This is talking about year annually. Interest of debt. Oh yeah, it gives you the interest of this debt. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, which is almost $1 trillion. If they had to pay interest on the complete debt, we're talking about if it's 1 trillion, the true debt is the payment would be 10 trillion a year. You can't do that. They need a reset. The reset's going to be digital. They're going to get the chip in you.
So that's what's happened to America. Woe unto them that ladders themselves with thick clay, with heavy debt. That's what America has done. So, and then...
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to show you this. This is new news to me. You know, okay. Copper sold out everywhere. Inventory hits critical zero. Many sites showing it as out of stock. Out of material. I'm going to let this play and I'm going to go into that too.
The other video I wanted to show you was this one here. This is why I said this video had to be done. Because then I was watching Apostle Tahar's video, and then, oh, Holy Benoit, listen to what's being said here.
He simply doesn't know. Let you listen to a little bit more, and then I'm going to close it.
All right, to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. All right, which this country is in a heavy debt, and there's no way.
Saying that. Thick clay. If you don't go into the Hebrew, you will not understand what it's mean by thick clay.
You hear the apostle? If you do not go into the Hebrew, you will not understand what it says by thick clay. So because Nathanyel's refusal to go into the Hebrew, he does not understand what it says by thick clay. All right? Because his refusal to go into the Hebrew, this guy here, and to teach the congregation that, they will never truly understand the scriptures, which shows that the Spirit of the Lord is not working with the IUIC.
At all.
But no one challenged him about that, because they don't want anything their master says, they obey.
And he is the master. He's the master. You're looking at the master. Master of the IUIC. And the rest of them are... It's a feudal society, the IUIC. It's one king and a bunch of peasants. And what do you call it? Overlords and... damn, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Short memory's going. The serfs. IUIC is cut up into two categories. The overlord and the serfs. Kanai Gabar is a serf. Yawasop is a serf. They're all serfs. If this guy taught a class and said Bonnie from the Purple Dinosaur, that's a mark of the beast, they'll believe it. They'll start teaching. They'll have a sign out. You know, Bonnie the purple dinosaur is the mark of the beast. That's the beast right there.
They don't think, they got to use their head for more than a hat rack, as the Apostle Ha always says, as his famous saying. Use your head, man, for more than a hat rack. Seriously.
Go ahead.
How long? And to him that ladeth
When it
himself,
says how long, meaning how long will this keep going on? Go ahead.
and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44.
And you know what gets them? He brings up a picture. I can see it. That's what it is. See, had he not bring that picture up, they probably wouldn't see it. So he brings that picture. You know, this is romper room right here. Give you a nice picture.
About all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Completely going off. Completely going off. But hey, that's because that's their refusal to go into the Hebrew. Right? That's their refusal.
And by the way, this picture right here, I bet you looked up the word hegemony. I bet you looked up the word hegemony. This is a picture. If you want to give me a picture of what hegemony is, this is hegemony. You don't do what I say, we're going to bomb you. And this is how they push their Christianity. They send their missionaries first, then them, what do you call it? Missionaries, and then, what the hell do you call it? Mercenaries, which is, they send the Christian first, then they send the army next. You know, what do they do with Columbus? You got to be a Christian. No, I don't be a Christian. I believe in the sun god. Kill him. Boom. This one gets scared. I believe in a Christian. Okay, good. You're not going to kill you, but we're going to put you in slavery. That's a nice thing. You become a Christian, you get to be a slave.
Talking about. Go ahead.
Completely going off. Completely going off. But hey, that's because that's their refusal to go into the Hebrew. Right? That's their refusal.
Which this country is in a heavy debt, and there's no way.
Thick clay. If you don't go into the Hebrew, you will not understand what it's mean by thick clay. Thick clay, the word there is abatya in the Hebrew, which means pledge or debt. They're in heavy debt.
And what is the US in? What is Babylon the Great in? Babylon the Great is in heavy debt. The government, 38.5 trillion. The whole country, $106 trillion in debt. Heavy debt. Woe unto you that ladders yourself with thick clay. And that's why that's why the Spirit is not working with the IUIC, because they refuse to go into the Hebrew, just like how they refuse to call on the Lord's name in the Hebrew. Not working with them at all.
Way of getting rid of that debt. All right, and the debt came by way of setting up the Federal Reserve, you know, that eventually, you know, will produce the money of America. All right, it was originally backing money by gold and silver, but no longer does it back money by gold and silver. It doesn't back it by anything. So you have what is known as the petrol. Yes, so that they could grow their economy. But now nations are backing away from using that, which is they're selling off their dollar reserves. All right, they're dumping the dollar, they're ditching it. All right, they're pushing for de-dollarization, which is ultimately leading to the weakening of the dollar, which was already weak because it's not backed by anything. So anytime you spend it, it generates debt. And I haven't looked at the debt clock in a long time, but that debt is insurmountable.
He said he hadn't looked at the debt clock for a long time. Well, my brother, I was just showing it to them. That's the Spirit. This is the debt clock he's referring to. It's insurmountable. Woe unto him that ladders himself with thick clay, heavy debt. It's insurmountable. $106 trillion. Unfunded debt and interest. US national debt, 38.5 trillion. Put those together. It's insurmountable. The whole system's going to collapse. He's 100% right. It's a disgrace that we shouldn't have.
That's why they have to have what's called a reset. And the next, next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, you're going to have the, it'll be on CNBC if you can get that station. It's going to be talked about in financial news. They all go, CNBC sends reps to Davos, Switzerland. It's called the World Economic Forum. There's all multi-billionaires, trillionaires up in there. And you got to watch it. See what they say about. They're going to show it on YouTube anyway. If you don't got cable, can't get CNBC, you go to the YouTube. They're going to play it. They'll play the whole thing live. And listen to the different speakers. I guarantee they're going to speak about the, what do you call it, the 6G. They're going to speak about AI. They're going to speak about the CBDC. And then if you listen closely, you might catch them to talk about putting this technology inside your body. They'll probably talk about Neuralink, Neurotech, putting the chip in your hand. You got to watch them. You know, you can't just say, well, this is my teacher. Whatever he tells me, I memorize it. No, we came up under our teachers, but we know far, far more than our teachers have known. They didn't know about the mark of the beast, the true breakdown of the mark of the beast.
Nathanyel did that, and that's why he spent 2 seconds on it and just went straight to the next verse.
All right, it's too much.
Yeah, because you can't explain it.
You know, so these nations are seeing how, you know, America just prints money out of thin air, you know, to back its military.
They really don't print it no more. They can, but they create it out of thin air, meaning they go to a central bank, Federal Reserve Bank, which is a bank of issue. When you get a credit card, you go for a loan from a bank. The money that they're giving to you, they get from the central bank, and they'll get it for 1%. That's why they're always lowering the rate. They'll get it for 1%, and they'll sell you that debt for 29%. So how much percentage are they making? They're making 28% off of you, and they're paying next to nothing on a debt that they get from the bank of issue, which is the Federal Reserve Bank. It's intricate, but it's simple. And you don't understand. That's why you got Floyd Mayweather and rappers with stacks of money. That's toilet paper, bro. If you were smart, you would have gold coins in your hand.
All right, they're seeing how America is aggressive when it comes down to tariffs and sanctions, and they're backing away from this country, and they're finding other means of, you know, operating and doing their dealings, you know, outside of, you know, the system of America. You know, so yeah, the heavy debt. That's what thick clay is. The heavy debt.
That's what.
Shall they not rise up suddenly?
That's what thick clay is. Heavy debt. That's what it is. Not what this disingenuous guy says it is. Once more before I shut this down.
With thick clay.
The thick clay. Go ahead.
And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay.
The thick clay are the nation, like when you read in Daniel 2:40, 44, about all the nations coming here. That's what it's talking about. Go ahead.
Completely going off. I'm not even going to go into Daniel 2 and 44 because that's not talking about nations coming to America, right? He's talking about iron mixed with miry clay. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's talking about Europe. That's talking about the European nation. That's talking about the beast. He wants you to believe it's this. It's talking about this. It's the same thing as what Habakkuk 2 and 6. This is talking about the European Union. The 10 toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay. So the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. This is talking about the EU. This ain't talking about nothing to do with Habakkuk 2 and 6 in terms of heavy debt.
EU and NATO. Mainly EU, but EU, they intertwined. EU, so it's EU and NATO.
It's not the same type of clay. All right. I'm just curious. Let me just quick look at this word. What this word clay says here. It's partly iron, partly clay. All right. Yeah, it's a complete different word. Clay, potsherd. See, complete different word.
Yeah.
Complete and utterly different word.
When you go to the ESV, which I did, in the same scripture, Habakkuk 2 verse 6, the word there is pledge. Pledge means debt. I just showed you what the chat says. Chat be on point.
Strong's H2635. Chasaf. Chasaf.
A complete different word to thick clay, what you're looking at there. It's mad. It's absolutely mad. But hey, they've all fell for it. They've all felt for it. What's that? Sa. And the last one, kasap, because that's pa. So that will be ka-sa-pa. Complete different Hebrew word, right? The word clay in Daniel's 2 and 43 that he wants you to believe is the same word as in Habakkuk 2 and 6. Just to show you, all right? This is what he wants you to believe. If we go to Habakkuk 2 and 6, thick clay, they're going to show it's a complete different word. Complete different word. Thick clay. Let's just bring that one up. See? My Hebrew's not great, but I do know some and the important words, but I'll always look it up anyway to confirm what I'm saying myself. You know, this is I, so I'm saying I, but, ta. Yeah, I batya, because that's ya, the smallest letter in the Hebrew. Ya, but, yeah, ba, that's ba, ba, tiat, ta, that's ta, ya, ta, I batya, right? My pronunciation ain't totally great, but I know what I'm doing when I'm going into the Hebrew and breaking down these words. So see this word? I batya, all right? That's thick clay. And when we go to Daniel's, just to show you, see, complete different Hebrew word. As you can see, complete. All right? This is ka. Begins with C-H-A. Ka, not I. Ka. Kasa, kasap. Because that's pa. That last character there is pa. So ka, sap, kasap, kasap. So kasap, it would be kasap, kasap, kasap. That sounds like a mockingbird, don't I? Know.
Strong's H2635. Chasaf. Chasaf.
It's a kasap, it's kasap. That's kasap. That's the Hebrew word there, kasap. Right? In that word, in that one there. And here it is.
Strong's H5671. Avtit. Avtit.
They pronounce it aptit. It's abat. I bat. I batit. I batit. I batit. I'm trying my best to pronounce it correctly. In the kingdom, it'll be perfected. But it's two different Hebrew words spelt two differently. This one begins with an I, as you can see. Bar, I bar. Ta. This is ya. I batya. All right? Complete different word to what you're seeing here. All right? This is Habakkuk's. We're reading from Habakkuk 2 and 6. So in Daniel's, complete different word, talking about something completely different. Of clay, complete different Hebrew word, just so you can see. All right, and when it says that, it says, whereas thou sawest feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it the strength of an iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay, right? This is talking about the EU, all right? The European nations, partly strong, partly weak. Some of these nations are strong, some are weak. Some have massive GDPs, some have very little GDPs, right? Some are in debt, some are not as in debt as the others, right? Some have a bigger military, some have a smaller military, right? Partly strong, and they're not getting on. As you saw, this is why Britain left the EU. They had enough, and Britain was part of that, made up part of the strength of the EU.
It was financial. The weaker nations had to take up for the stronger nation had to take up for the weaker nation financially. So they said, "Fuck that." You know, that's why I said. Part iron and part miry clay, meaning part strong and part weak financially. You had a acronym, PIGS. What was it? It was, I believe it was Poland, Ireland, Italy, Greece, and Spain. The term was the acronym was PIGS. Those were the weaker nations, and at that time, England, Great Britain was a part of that EU, and they said no, we want to come out of it. It was called Brexit, and I did videos on that. This is going back 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that.
All right, and then it says, and as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom, the EU, shall be partly strong and partly broken.
Now this is in the blue letter. From the 40th verse to the 43rd verse, it says Rome. So Rome goes back 2,000 years, and it's in its height, 2,000 years, right? Then you had the divine kingdom. So guess what? There has to be two parts of. There has to be a part 2 or part 2 of Rome. And this is the part 2 of Rome. EU, NATO nations, EU nations, America and Canada.
All right? And that's why we left it, because the EU is broken, divided. And it became clear when Britain left, the United Kingdom left the EU. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, strong nations, weak nations, strong economies, weak economies, all make up the European Union. They shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, right? All from different nations. Plus they've got the influx of people coming in from those Arab nations. But they shall not cleave one to another. That's why there's so much unrest in the European Union, because they've had a flood of people come from these Arab countries into the European Union. Millions, we're talking, came into the European Union, right? From Syria, from Iraq, right? Some were coming in from, what's the other place? Syria, Iraq, Lebanon, and there's another place they was coming in from a lot, but they had millions of Arabs coming in. At one point, Germany took in, I think, 1.5 million Arabs came into Germany under Merkel, all right? If I remember, about 1.5 million, right, came into Germany, right, from, I think when Merkel was in power, they came in. Look here, this is what this is talking about. See? Germany is home to over 1.5 million people from Arabic-speaking countries, a significant community formed by waves of migration, particularly during the 2015 refugee crisis from Syria. So I was right, it was Syria, alongside earlier guest workers from North Africa. The largest group come from Syria, Iraq, Morocco, and Lebanon. They're all Arabs, with major concentration in the cities like Berlin, Frankfurt, Hamburg, and they've got an epidemic of crime from these people that have come in now, making up a large part of Germany's growing Arab and Muslim population, right? And the majority of them came in during 2015, right? Look, migration drivers, Syria civil war, 2015, a major influx of refugees, with Germany expecting up to 1.5 million asylum seekers in 2015, leading to a large Syrian community. I never forget this. And this is why we left the European community, right? Because it was just, after they've left Germany, they were like trying to make their way to the United Kingdom. It was just too much. So it says here, demographics. The Arab community contributes significantly to Germany's diverse Muslim population, estimated at 5.5 million. So 6.5% of the population are Arabs and Muslim that are in Germany. That's massive. So this is why you see the European Union falling apart. That was one of the main reasons, migrations. So when it says it, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, all right, the different nations coming into Germany, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. Yes, they are men, but they shall not cleave one to another, because these were Muslims that were coming in their millions. That's why the European Union is broken. That's why Britain left the European Union. Even as iron is not mixed with miry clay. So
it's not because of a military, because EU is still part of NATO, so they all attached to one another, one way or another. It was economically. Remember, Britain never left the NATO. They would be, if they got attacked by Russia, the other NATO nations under Article 5 of the what is it called, the NATO alliance. I looked it up before, but so they're together for that reason.
One has got nothing to do with the other. This miry clay, this clay word here, is not the same word as the clay word here, right? In Habakkuk 2 and 6, right? These are talking about two different things. One is talking about America, Babylon the Great. The other one's talking about the European Union. He's winging it. That's what he's doing, winging it. Trust me. So I'm going to leave it there. Just kind of wanted to touch on that, man, because I was thinking, should I do another video on this guy? And when I saw the videos of the apostles, I thought, you know what? That's the Spirit telling me, man, you need to get to work. So here it is. Once again, Bishop Nathanyel, Habakkuk 2 and 6, thick clay breakdown, completely going off. Why? Because they don't stress the importance of knowing the Hebrew. Very important, brothers and sisters, to understand the scriptures through the
proof that the Yahweh Bashem, first of all, they don't even call on Yahweh Bashem. Oh, we don't know his name. You got to get a new name.
Spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh.
Only he knows himself. Revelation 19. He only knows that name. You don't know his name.
So on that note, we'll praise and glory to the Heavenly Father Yahweh and to His only begotten Son Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to you and to the hopefully elect. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to say shalom as well. Okay, where are we?